Probation chiefs in England and Wales are tonight issuing a stark warning about their future ability to monitor offenders in the community. In a survey conducted by this programme, they've revealed how the service is struggling to keep up with the current levels of offenders entering the system. And, crucially, if the expected budget cuts go ahead, they warn they will not be able to offer the public the required levels of protection from offenders. It will make for grim reading for the Justice Secretary Ken Clarke, who wants to put more offenders into community-based punishments in his rehabilitation revolution. Our Home Affairs correspondent Andy Davis has this exclusive report.
It is one of the coalition government's big ideas, challenging the old prison works orthodoxy which so memorably underpinned Tory party policy of old. Ken Clarke, the Justice Secretary, wants a rehabilitation revolution, he says, where far more offenders are diverted away from short stretches in prison to be placed on community orders involving unpaid work, curfews, drug and alcohol treatment programmes. It is, they say, a profound opportunity to transform the criminal justice system. If there is going to be a major shift away from sending people to prisons like this one on short-term sentences to punishing them instead in the community, it will fall largely to the 20,000 employees of the Probation Service to supervise those offenders. We sent a survey to every single Probation Trust chief executive in England and Wales to see how well placed they believe this sector is to take on more offenders. A majority responded, and the findings are really quite striking. 75% of those surveyed believe that neither prisons nor probation have the capacity to keep up with the current levels of offenders entering the system. Asked how they would describe the Probation Service's current capacity to manage offenders effectively in the community, 10 out of 20 said good, but the other 50% described it worryingly as average or poor. 80% agreed with a recent Justice Committee report stating that resources for community-based interventions were now spread too thinly. All stated that the current commissioning system wasn't working, one describing it as a mess. And nearly half of all those surveyed admitted that they weren't able to offer the full 12 community sentence programmes they're supposed to. Furthermore, although a majority said they could offer the required levels of public protection most of the time, only 15% said they could offer that protection all of the time.
Well, I think the chiefs have given a wake-up call to this new government. What chiefs are saying there is that we currently run very lean, very efficient and effective probation areas, and that whilst the intentions of the government are entirely laudable and we fully support them, we do not have the capacity within local probation trusts to deliver on a significantly increased workload.
Where were you getting all of the money for the heroin?
My ex-partner was out burgling hotels and pubs, and if he didn't make enough money at night, we'd be shoplifting during the day.
Amy Courtvrend, who's 27 and lives in Stockport, has been able to get herself clean from heroin under a community sentence. She meets regularly with her probation officer and has had to attend a series of programmes, one of which is aimed at victims of domestic abuse.
I suppose the most important thing was learning the warning signs of domestic abuse, because looking back, I could have seen it coming. If I'd have known what I know now, I could have seen it coming within.
If you had gone to prison, what state do you think you'd be in now if you'd served a 6-month sentence, for instance?
I just think I wouldn't be where I am now. I think I'd just be in and out of prison probably for years to come. You see I've seen so many people that in, out, doing 3 months here, 6 months there, and it can just go on forever.
Ricardo Morrison stole our daughter and destroyed our lives.
There are numerous high-profile examples of where community orders have failed to stop reoffending, such as the case of Ricardo Morrison, previously on community sentences for assault convictions, who went on last year to stab to death his girlfriend Amy Lee Barnes. There are roughly 130,000 offenders serving sentences in the community at any one time, many on unpaid work schemes. A former Home Office criminologist last week questioned just how effective these sentences are. But probation chiefs, like many in government, say the evidence of greatly reduced reoffending rates under these orders support the plan to make more use of them. The probation chief executives are adamant their staff have the expertise and skill to meet this challenge. But crucially, in the Channel 4 News survey, only 3 out of 20 said the service currently has the capacity to cope effectively with such a move. And if their budgets are cut by a relatively modest 10% or more, not a single probation chief said he or she would be able to offer the required levels of public protection all of the time. Half said they'd be able to meet the levels most of the time. Worryingly, the other half only some of the time.
It must be a worry for you that the probation service presently feels so ill-equipped to embrace this rehabilitation revolution of yours.
The rehabilitation revolution that we're talking about won't just involve the public sector. It will involve what we've called the big society. It will involve using the private sector, using the third sector, the voluntary sector. And if the message from the probation chiefs is that we need a look at this system, that we need to look at, address the pressures that they're under, then our message is, well, yes, we are going to reform this system.
So a less Victorian approach is needed, says the government, with the private sector far more involved in running alternative schemes to prison. But in this, their proposed criminal justice revolution, there will be no extra financial support for a clearly struggling probation service.